Our flight left around 4 o'clock on Monday afternoon, California time. We arrived in the desert Emirate of Dubai on the evening of Tuesday, losing a day. The flight from San Francisco to Dubai is about 16 hours, not counting the time required before boarding. We were told that this distance was the furthest nonstop flight from San Francisco. Located on the coast of the Arabian Peninsula, Dubai is one of 7 emirates that make up the United Arab Emirates, or UAE. After the British departed the area in the 1960s, these emirates banded together. Since that time, Dubai has emerged as a global city and the business hub of the Middle East.
سيداتي وسادتي، لو نختار الآن بحمد الله ورعايته في مطار دبي الدولي حتى التوقيت المحلي هنا يشير إلى الساعة 12 ظهرا ودرجة حرارة خارجية 25 درجة مئوية. لراحتكم وسلامتكم يجب عليكم بقاء جالسين في مقاعدكم إلى أن تتوقف الطائرة نهائيا وتطفأ إشارة رفع حزمة المقاعد. قبل مغادرة الطائرة تأكدوا من أخذ جميع أمتعتكم الشخصية الموجودة في جيب المقاعد التي أمامكم أو في الخزائن العلوية. يرجى من حضرات ركاب الترانزيت والمغادرين سفرهم إلى محطات أخرى مراجعة الموظفين الآتين داخل صالة القادمين. نود أن نشكركم سفركم مع طيران الإمارات، كما نرجو أن تكونوا قد استمتعتم برحلتكم آملين أن نكون في خدمتكم مرة ثانية في المستقبل. شكرا وإلى اللقاء.
The entire country of Dubai is only 375 square miles, or about 3 times the size of the city of San Francisco. It sits at 25 degrees north of the equator, or about the same as Baja California. Dubai is an absolute monarchy and is a bastion of Arab culture and Sharia law. But it's also a thoroughly modern city with amazing infrastructure. We flew on Emirates Air. Emirates handles around 50% of all passenger traffic through Dubai. The airline is wholly owned by the government. The original airport was opened in 1966. It's grown into this ultra-modern facility, the world's busiest airport measured by international passenger traffic. The airport is an important contributor to the Dubai economy, employing around 90,000 people and the equivalent of $27 billion to the local economy.
In addition to the shiny stainless steel of the interior, there is a huge wall of water that flows behind a bank of elevators, their structure open to reveal the massive waterfall. This in a place that was once only desert. You can imagine that with so many passengers that the facilities to accommodate them are huge. At this terminal, we search the numerous baggage kiosks for our belongings. Across the way we could see the passport control that we had passed through just after landing. The men who checked our papers wore their national garments, the long robe, and on their heads a large square of cloth held on by a rope. We got our bags, loaded a trolley, got local money at an ATM, and found our way out to the taxi stand. We had printed from our computer at home a map with the address of our hotel and the approximate cost of the trip from the airport. We were directed to a pink-top cab, usually reserved for women with women-only drivers. It was dark as we drove through the airport and out into the desert Emirate of Dubai. Checking into our Hyatt hotel, we found pictures of the rulers of the UAE above a small model of a Bedouin tent with welcoming tea. We were told the small couple in Arabic dress and a camel were there signifying hospitality. They had a tiny tea service, too, next to the large one for our pleasure. Upstairs to our room, we found its welcoming bed and facilities. We looked out at our view and went to sleep.
Early the next morning, we unpacked a bit and then examined the UAE currency we'd gotten at the airport automatic teller machine. The currency was the dirham, about 3.5 to the dollar. We just divided by 3 for a quick reference. Then we gathered our things and went down to breakfast. Breakfast was included with our room rate. It was buffet style with both Western and Eastern offerings. Cold dishes and hot items, including eggs, were available. There were large bowls of fresh fruit and vegetables, along with a variety of olives and pickled choices. Dates and raisins were also provided. There was a coffee machine for lattes and granola to make us happy on our first morning in Dubai. We'd made arrangements at home through a travel website for a car and driver. We walked outside to find the white van and our driver for the day, Shaji. He was a native of India, one of many Indians who work in Dubai. We hoped the sites we'd chosen to see that day would give us a good idea of the culture and history of Dubai. It was a perfect morning. The temperature was about 75 degrees Fahrenheit. We expected it to get to be about 90 in the heat of the day. The 163-story Burj Khalifa is the greatest landmark of the downtown area. It's the tallest building in the world.
So Burj Khalifa is the world's tallest tower. It having 829.8 meter height. 829.8 meter height.
Wow.
Total 163 floors.
Yes.
There is 2 observation desks in 124th floor and 148th floor.
As we drove along, we looked at the busy roadway and the amazing modern high-rise buildings lined up on the road.
That's the main highway. Yes.
Then we arrived at the coastline, where we first glimpsed the sailboat-shaped Burj Al Arab Hotel peeking above the buildings. This was Jumeirah Beach on the Arabian Sea. The Burj Al Arab Hotel on the Arabian Sea was built to resemble the billowing spinnaker sail of a yacht. Its British architect, Tom Wright, said the client wanted a building that would become an iconic or symbolic statement for Dubai, similar to the Sydney Opera House or the Eiffel Tower in Paris. It has received worldwide recognition for its unique shape. We passed a sprinkling of people in surprisingly skimpy bathing suits and yachts moored in the harbor as we walked past the sailboat hotel. Beyond, down Jumeirah Beach, is a wave-shaped hotel. It was completed about the same time and complements the boat-shaped Burj Al Arab. One of its sides looks like a boat. Saji was waiting at the van to take us to our next destination. We went off to another famous hotel on the beach. Down a very long roadway, you pass numerous high-rise hotels and condominiums. Dubai discovered oil, and then the oil revenue started to flow into the country in the late 1960s. Dubai's oil income accelerated the expansion of the city, and by the 1990s there was an enormous spurt of development. The main source of revenue comes from real estate, tourism, financial services, and aviation. Today, less than 5% of the Emirates' revenue comes from oil.
We drove next to the elevated tracks of the monorail, opened in 2009 to serve this area. Then in the distance, we could see the huge, distinctive shape of our destination. Opened in 2008, there was a $20 million gala to celebrate this new luxury resort built on its palm tree-shaped artificial island. This is Atlantis, the Palm. There are 1,539 rooms in 2 wings, the East and West Towers, linked together by the Royal Bridge Suite. The suite goes for $25,000 a night, said to be the most expensive hotel suite in the world. Atlantis was the first resort to be built on an artificial island in the Arabian Sea. Its island stands a little more than 13 feet above sea level. Around the island there are 16 narrow channels, 34 feet at the deepest point. There are openings on each side to eliminate stagnant water. These gaps allow the water to completely circulate every 13 days. In addition to the hotel, the Palm Tree Island contains numerous luxury estates. Huge dredging machines use suction tubes to send sand scoured from the area to form the giant Palm Tree Island surrounded by a crescent. In order to get onto the island, we drove into a very long tunnel. Called Palm Jumeirah Island, it's one of the largest human-made islands in the world. We began to understand that Dubai has a theme of spectacular, world record-setting attractions. The nearby mansions on Palm Island have an address that's considered a status symbol in Dubai. We drove up, going along toward Atlantis the Palm Resort and its amazing Palm Island. Of course, we couldn't see the island very well as we were at sea level driving along the coastline. So we've combined some of our photos with some images from the internet to show this amazing resort, the luxury mansions, and the very unique Palm Island.
Well, this amazing place prompts many questions. One for us was, where did they get the enormous amount of potable water to support all the people? Well, Dubai built a desalinization plant very close to the Atlantis and the mansions. This desalinization plant produces 602 million gallons of potable water per day. That's twice as much water used by Las Vegas per day. That's a lot of water. And guess what? They recycle all their wastewater for irrigation. That's amazing how technology can be used effectively. We didn't take the time to go inside this magnificent resort. One has to choose where you spend your precious travel hours. Instead, we just wandered a garden near the hotel underneath the overhead monorail. We drove away from Atlantis the Palm and stopped a couple of times to get a better look at the monorail. It connects the island to the mainland's other rail and bus services. They're continuing with extensions. We were aiming at another destination on our list, the Dubai Marina. Dubai Marina is an affluent residential neighborhood known for its speedboats, soaring high-rise buildings, and alfresco dining. Smart cafes and sometimes pop-up craft markets line the waterside promenade called Dubai Marina Walk. Nearby, the Dubai Marina Mall is packed with chain and luxury fashion brands. Yachts cruise through the large human-made marina where activities can range from jet skiing to skydiving. Peak season in Dubai is from November to March. We went in October, the shoulder season, so we missed the crowds that would fill its cafes in just a few weeks.
When you drive up to Mall of the Emirates, it's immediately apparent that there's something special inside. The giant building above the mall holds Ski Dubai, the indoor ski resort and snow park. Yes, in this desert, you can go skiing or snowboarding. At a cost of $218 million, the Mall of the Emirates was opened in 2005. In the amazing mountain-themed attraction in Mall of the Emirates, you can enjoy skiing, snowboarding, tobogganing, and other snow activities. A Dodgem car ride is just next to a snow-covered hillside where riders, bundled in winter gear, bumped along below people walking up a long ramp. There at the top of the ramp, others were getting inside giant balls to spiral down slides. There were small toboggans available to fly down runs to the bottom of another slide. Above all of this, Ski Dubai has a chairlift that goes up to 5 runs that vary in difficulty, height, and steepness. The longest and steepest run is about 1,300 feet, making Ski Dubai the world's first indoor black run. The giant slope building above the mall contains all of these wintertime activities, some of them outside of our sight line.
We rode the escalator down to the Ski Dubai main entrance. There you'll find a long assortment of souvenirs. We selected a couple of t-shirts for our son and daughter that we paid for with a credit card. Then we walked into the area where the tickets are sold and equipment and winter clothing can be rented. There was a large group of women and girls in red and blue Ski Dubai outfits. Some had on shirts that read Arab Unity School Dubai. There were a few others choosing from the large selection of equipment. From this lower level, we could see people on the chairlift and having fun in the winter wonderland of Ski Dubai. Finally, we left the Mall of the Emirates to carry on with our tour.
Out on the roadway, we went along the main street named for Sheikh Mohammed Zayed bin Sultan. He was the driving force behind the formation of the United Arab Emirates and was the UAE's first president. Born around 1918, Sheikh Zayed was the son of an emir of nearby Abu Dhabi. At the time of Sheikh Zayed's birth, the Emirates were poor and undeveloped, with an economy based primarily on fishing and pearl diving, with simple agriculture in scattered inland oases. As we drove along Sheikh Zayed Road, we again saw the enormous 163-floor skyscraper, the Burj Khalifa. This was our next destination. There's a fountain at the foot of the skyscraper that performs at specific times, and we were hoping to make it to see the display. Approaching the Dubai Mall, there's an elegant statue of white marble and black granite, figures of a man in a kandura and a woman in an abaya. It's called Together and was created by a Syrian artist. Statues aren't often seen in Islamic countries. This one stands opposite the world's tallest building. We parked in a lot on the bottom floor and walked into Dubai Mall. No shortage of shopping in this town. This mall contains 1,200 shops and was opened in 2008. It too has several attractions to bring in the visitors. We passed by a shop with mannequins dressed in the abaya, the robe-like dress worn by women in many parts of the Muslim world. Between the ages of 9 and 13, many girls began to wear the hijab, or head covering, in addition to the abaya.
One of the fascinations in this mall is the Dubai Aquarium. At over 2.5 million gallons, this tank holds more than 33,000 aquatic animals. Rising to the third floor of the Dubai Mall, this aquarium boasts 140 species of sea life and other many incredible ways to experience its underwater world. Divers in scuba gear swim with the animals as the crowd gazes up at stingrays and sharks. A long tunnel allows visitors to be enveloped in the sea world with a fisheye view overhead. Every once in a while, we would remember that not long ago this country was almost entirely desert. Now, with the benefit of the discovery of oil and the foresight to know the oil won't last, the people are creating new ways to continue their wealth. Proceeding on, we stopped briefly as a performance of Yola dancing was just beginning. Generally known as the stick dance, this traditional UAE folk dance usually is accompanied by drumming and performed by 2 rows of dancers. The dancers are positioned close together, signifying the unity and cooperation among tribal people. The dance is usually performed at national ceremonies and weddings in the UAE.
We had to lead the Yola dancers as the Dubai fountain performance was about to begin. We walked out to a large lagoon with a bridge bisecting it, and then we walked onto the bridge for a good look. There are 30 acres of water in the human-made system called Burj Khalifa Lake. What else? It's the world's largest choreographed fountain system. Devised by WET Design, the California-based company, they're also responsible for the fountains at the Bellagio Hotel Lake in Las Vegas, Nevada.
محمد
The cool breeze off the fountain was very welcome, as the late morning temperature had reached about 90 degrees Fahrenheit. We went back to find our van and headed out for lunch. We drove to a high-rise building that contained a cafeteria, shops, and apartments. We were seated near a large Chinese family. Nearby were two men in the traditional long Arab kundura. The buffet was lavish with every kind of dish you might imagine, and then some.
Built in 1787, Dubai's oldest building, Al Fahidi Fort, is now the Dubai Museum, created to present the traditional way of life in the Emirate. Through an imposing door, we were greeted with a symbol of hospitality, the Arabic-shaped coffee or teapot. Overhead, we could see the exposed beams with walls made of coral and mortar that held pictures of the current rulers of the UAE. There's a model of Dubai from 1822 that gives a marvelous idea of how much this place has changed over the past 200 years. At a bend in Dubai Creek, there was once just a small town. The formation of the UAE and the discovery of oil meant an expansion of the town. Oil revenues created wealth to build the long main road and a few high-rises. Today's Dubai is truly a marvel in the desert. We left the reception area and walked across the enclosed courtyard with the fort's watchtower above us, then into another area also made from coral. There was a large wooden tank that previously held the precious liquid for the inhabitants. A wind tower to catch a cooling breeze rose above a traditional summer house called an arish. This tower created a kind of air conditioning in pre-electricity days. The house is made entirely of woven palm fronds. It had several sleeping and seating areas. In another area of the fort, there was a display of old musical instruments, armor, and weapons. There were several dioramas showing clothing and scenes from village life. Girls covered in gold jewelry were shown singing, while boys sat on the floor at their studies. We also learned how jewelry often held the wealth of families and was a big business. Coins were sometimes included in necklaces and headpieces worn by the women. There are rules against males wearing jewelry. We also learned that pearls formerly were the main source of wealth and commerce in Dubai. From age 9 to about 50 years, males only would dive into the local waters to find the pearl oysters.
Next on our list was to take a ride across the Dubai Creek on a local ferry. For 1 dirham, or about 35 cents, you can board an Abra boat and experience the Dubai Creek. There are many ferry crossings. This station is very popular as you board here to go over to the old Souq, or market area. We watched Abra pilots navigate the diesel-powered boats into the dock, while other Abra came and went on the creek. Tourists and locals filtered onto the open-air boats. Not much worry about rain. On average, rain falls only 5 days a year in Dubai. Historically, the Dubai Creek divided the city into 2 main sections. Different groups settled on each side. This saltwater creek was an important element in establishing the commercial position of Dubai. In the early 20th century, the creek began as a minor port for boats coming from as far away as India or East Africa. Today, those boats continue this trade. These days, there's a road that lines the creek, and high-rise hotels and businesses have replaced the small homes that once sat here. There is no longer any sign of the sand beach that was once in this place. Before the discovery of oil, Dubai's main source of wealth came from the pearl diving industry. Here on this creek and along the coastline, men only would bring their oyster baskets and ropes in preparation for the day's diving. Wearing a nose clip, sometimes made from gazelle horn, the men would board boats and then dive for 12 to 14 hours from sunrise to sunset, 6 days a week, searching the bottom for oysters. The pearl industry had a long decline that started in the 1930s when the Japanese discovered how to mass produce cultured pearls. In the early 20th century, the Emirate abolished custom duties on imported goods. This opened Dubai to foreign merchants, and boats began to arrive from across historic trade routes. Dhows were traditionally wooden sailing vessels, but today most have converted to diesel fuel to get from as far away as the Indian Ocean or the Red Sea.
A wind tower rose above us when we arrived at the Abra station on the other side of Dubai Creek. Colorful clothing was displayed next to the active entrance to the spice market. It contained a long street that once had been open air, but now had a wooden cover to provide some shade to the busy shoppers. Vendors invited tourists to enter for a closer look, while others were lost on their mobile phones. The piles of spices and nuts also included flower buds and petals in a colorful and fragrant display in the market. We also saw only male sales force as we walked along, glad to be under the cover in the afternoon heat. We left the covered spice market and went out into the open street, passing wonderful silk and jeweled shoes, pillows, and purses. We followed the street signs that showed the way to the gold Souq, passing a mosque with a single minaret on one corner. Jewelry has always been important in the Arabic culture. Recently, the wearing of gold jewelry for weddings has made a big comeback. With the surge in wealth has come the ability to indulge in fabulous displays. Brides may wear golden waterfall necklaces weighing many pounds, and these may be accompanied by multiple bracelets, rings, earrings, and belts. The Gold Souq in Dubai offers both new and old gold jewelry. Once precious heirlooms that were sold by families might be combined with sparkling new items. The displays are a mixture of old and new creations to tempt brides and jewelry enthusiasts alike. Just down from the Gold Souq is an area devoted to silver. This area included more tourist-type offerings. It was fun to peruse the stalls, but our shopping time was coming to an end, so we had to hustle back, retracing our steps where Saji was waiting with the van. He had driven over a bridge and come to the area to pick us up. There are many public and excellent private schools for locals in the large expatriate community. The UAE is home to over 200 nationalities. Emiratis constitute only about 20% of the total population, making the UAE home to one of the world's highest percentage of immigrants. Indians and Pakistanis form the largest expat groups in the country.
Back at our hotel, we had a short nap. It had been a full day of touring, but we had a fun night ahead. We went out into the evening fog to get a taxi. Driving away from our hotel, we passed the 2 minarets and the nearby mosque. Even though bars are common in hotels in Dubai, ours had none because the mosque was so close and Islamic rules against alcohol prevailed here. Before our trip, we'd made online reservations for a dinner cruise on Dubai Creek. We had chosen the wine-included dinner package.
I think this is the last one. We beat this one. With the glasses also. So, Al-Halij. You give me the paper.
We had chosen this particular boat from all the other dinner cruise offerings because there was an onboard kitchen and therefore the food was prepared on site. We checked in for our 8 o'clock reservation and went on to the long, sleek boat. Our table was next to large windows, providing a great view of the skyline at night. We were seated near a piano player who was setting up for the evening cruise. We had a large menu that held a map calling out the various landmarks we would pass. Some we'd seen on our ferry ride earlier. There was also a very yummy selection of food for our 4-course dinner. We settled in for a pre-departure lemonade and a vegetarian amuse-bouche. The music and the wine began as we pulled away from the dock. Later in the evening, we learned that our piano player was an expat from Transylvania named Vasily. The diners appeared to be a mixture of expats and tourists, out for an evening on Dubai Creek.
Looks like you're very busy tonight. Is that the one?
Yes. Would you like a taste?
Sure. There was time before the dessert course to have a stroll around the deck of Bateau Dubai. We drank our wine as we watched the other boats pass by, their lights brightly reflecting in the water. It was marvelous to be enjoying the cool evening. From the number of boats on the creek, it was hard to tell that this was just the shoulder season in Dubai. The water taxi pulled alongside and 2 men came on board. We could hear Arabic music coming from the taxi as it pulled away, going down the glittering creek. Finally, we went up to watch the captain and mate navigate our boat with their modern equipment. Cameras provided both forward and aft views, as well as navigation on the large screens in front of the captain. We returned to our table in time for the dessert course. We shared each other's selection of chocolate mousse cake with ice cream and hazelnut cookie, also with ice cream. As we were finishing, the chef came by to inquire about the meal. We posed with Chef Jerry from India. The hostess also agreed to a photo. She was Daria from Hungary. Back on deck, we reflected on the fact that so many people have moved to Dubai in search of work. They move far from their place of origin to find opportunity and perhaps gain skills to take back when they return home. An Abra Ferry continued to traverse the creek, the dazzling lights of Dubai reflecting in the sparkling water.
We were once again up early. We had a quick breakfast. Then we went through the lobby and out into the morning. This day we were on our own. We passed our local mosque. We'd planned to walk a few blocks away to the nearest metro station called Al Riga. We were walking from our hotel in the old part of town, not too far from the airport. Down the street was the large clock tower at the intersection where we turned the day before. The streets were quiet on this Tuesday morning in early October. 3 street sweepers were out cleaning the empty sidewalks. Soon we saw the sign for the metro station. Across the street, we saw the corresponding station on the other side. The ultramodern stations look like spaceships. Service began in 2009, and it's estimated there are about 350,000 riders per day. There are also currently 2 lines, red and green, with 49 stations, and it's also hooked up to the monorail. Fans selected our fare at the automatic ticket machine, and we proceeded through the turnstile to the train.
Your attention, please. The train to Rashidia will arrive at Rashidia platform.
The doors to our carriage closed as we confirmed we were on the correct train.
والرمانة وهي محطة انتقالية بين خطي الأحمر والأخضر لمترو دبي. The next station is Burj. This is interchange station between Dubai Metro Red and Green lines.
Settling in, we watched and listened to the announcements as Dubai sped by.
المحطة القادمة هي الجافلية.
The next station is Al Jafaliya.
We passed through several stations and could see the tunnels that sometimes connected the corresponding ones, as we were now speeding above what we recognized as Sheikh Zayed Road.
المحطة القادمة هي أبراج الإمارات.
The next station is Emirates Towers.
After the next stop, we would arrive at our station. we were going back to the Dubai Mall to go to the top of Burj Khalifa to see the view from the tallest building in the world.
المحطة القادمة هي أبراج الإمارات. The next station is Emirates Towers. الأبواب تغلق. Doors closing.
We worked our way to the very front of the train and got an amazing view as the Dubai Metro flew along through the middle of its modern city.
المحطة القادمة هي برج خليفة دبي مول. The next station is Burj Khalifa Dubai Mall. المحطة القادمة هي برج خليفة دبي مول. The next station is Burj Khalifa Dubai Mall.
At the main lobby of the Burj Khalifa, we picked up our tickets that we ordered online for our 9:30 a.m. entrance. Then we passed into a hospitality room where dates and tea were offered. Our group was assigned a young woman as our guide, and she organized us in the lobby. We went through several corridors, winding toward the interior of the building. Then, up an escalator, we were led to, yes, the fastest elevator in the world.
Total height of this building is 828 meters, 200 levels, 160 of which are habitable. First 39 floors of this tower belong to Armani Hotel, 160 rooms and 144 apartments. It's a signature hotel. All the design inside was done by himself, Great Giorgio Armani. After Hotel T level 108, it's middle of the tower. This is residential part only for Burj Khalifa. 900 apartments which were sold out within the first 8 hours when this tower was opened, 4th of January 2010. From level 112 to 160, this area belonged to the private and corporate offices. In between 3 observation deck and level 122, Guinness record, the highest restaurant and lounge, name Atmosphere. Last 40 floors of the tower, mechanical, engineering, broadcasting and communications. There are no elevators and stairs, only ladder to go to the top of the tower. Total cost of the building is 1.5 billion US dollars, and you can see the tip of the sphere at a distance of 95 kilometers. Now, if you don't mind, I will translate very fast. This elevator is going 9 meters in 1 second, 36 kilometers per hour. Quite fast, so it will pop your ears inside. On level 1 to 5, you will change the elevator straight away to reach the highest level.
Arriving at the 5th floor, we waited to go 45 miles an hour to the 148th floor called At the Top.
Man-made and fully stable structure, Burj Khalifa. Be careful, please. Exit will be through this side. We'll change the lift to go to the top of the tower.
At a little more than half a mile in the air, we entered the reception area of At the Top. Excited, we walked toward the surrounding glass windows in our first view and paused to take a selfie of our reflection.